guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled I Bought These Avocados and They Are Crap. My husband and I worked at a car dealership together. One night after work we stopped at a grocery store to pick up dinner stuff. He has been wearing a white shirt and red tie combo that day, which is also what the produce managers at this chain of supermarkets also wear. Older guy comes up to him. Guy. Hey, you should know these avocados are bad. Him. Oh yeah? Good to know, I will avoid them. Guy. Well, I bought these avocados and they are crap. Holds up bag. Guy. I took them home and now my wife is all over my ass about these damn avocados. Him. Wow, that's awful. Guy. What are you going to do about it? Him. I guess point you to that guy over there. Points to manager stocking produce. Guy. You don't work here, do you? Him. Nope. Guy. Sorry about the fuss. Don't buy the avocados, they taste like crap. Him. Well noted, sir, have a great day. It's been our funny inside joke for 16 years now, these avocados are crap. The next story is titled I Don't Work Here But I'll Help. So this happened 3 hours ago. So I was down at my local Kohl store buying drinks for me and my mother. It was very hot so I thought I'd buy some drinks for us. Anyway, I'm walking down the front of the store looking for a specific drink and suddenly I hear someone clearing their throat in the sort of way that goes, I want your attention now. So I turned around to see a middle-aged woman looking at me as if I was the scum of the earth. I proceeded to ask her, may I help you, ma'am? To which she starts yelling at me to help her find some ice creams for her young child. I'll say he was 5 to 7, as it was my job to help her, and some other BS about if they were hiring me then they had better teach me to treat customers with more respect. Then it clicked. She thought I was a trainee. The actual trainee on shift was wearing a black shirt so it was understandable to a degree. At this point I realized that she hadn't seen my full shirt, a HP Hufflepuff shirt. But her child had and was trying to get his mother to see my shirt with no luck. 10 or so minutes go by till I fully turn around and by the look on her face you'd think a truck had hit her. She started apologizing endlessly which I just listened to until she stopped. I thought to myself I had two options: A. Just reject her apologies, or B. Help her. I know that it would make more sense to reject her apologies and leave, but I choose to help her. She had been looking in the milk aisle, not the freezer section, and afterward left to find my drinks, checked out and left. The next story is titled I Don't Work Here, I'm a Patient. This happened a few days ago. 26F, I'm 11 weeks pregnant with my second child. I work at an optical center as a technician, and our uniform is plain scrubs that can be any color but no pattern. On this day, I had just returned to work after having to quarantine due to having COVID. I started my shift at 9 a.m. I seemed fine and was so glad to be back at work. About an hour and a half into my shift, I was with one of our patients doing an eye test called an optos. While standing at the machine, I started to feel unwell. It started with sudden, severe nausea, which quickly was accompanied by a dizzy feeling. Then my eyesight started to go black at the edges. I've had vertigo my entire life, so I attributed this to a normal vertigo episode that would be done in a few seconds. However, when I didn't start to feel better after a few seconds, I knew something was wrong. I left the patient I was with and went out into the hall. I called for my supervisor, who was also with a patient. When she came out and asked what was wrong, I got as far as, I don't feel too good, before everything went black and I woke up on the floor with our eye doctor leaning over me, telling someone to call 911. At the hospital, they could not find any reason as to why I fainted, and only gave, "You're pregnant," as a possible cause. When I was told I could go home, I started getting dressed and went out into the waiting room to wait for my fiancé to pick me up. At this point, I was wearing my maroon scrubs. In the 30 minutes it took my fiancé to leave work to come get me, he didn't know what happened until I was able to call him. I had several people come up to me asking how long they had to wait to be seen. After telling so many people I didn't work there, some more than once, I unintentionally yelled at this old lady who rudely asked me why I was sitting around instead of working on getting her an room. Listen, idiot, I do not work here. I am a patient. Just because I am wearing scrubs doesn't mean I work at the hospital. Leave me the heck alone, please. At this point I was almost in hysterical tears because I didn't feel good and just wanted to go home and lay down. Now I feel bad for yelling at the woman, but surely she should have heard me telling other people I didn't work there. The next story is titled Stranger in My Neighbor's Driveway. I was on my morning walk and was about a block away from home when I saw a truck I didn't recognize pull into my neighbor's driveway, directly across from my house. The neighbor has a large extended family, so I figured it was someone he was related to or a friend. A man in his, probably, late 50s, early 60s gets out of the truck and walks to the neighbor's truck. He then opens the driver's side door and looks inside. I thought it was odd, but surely he's a family member there to work on said truck, common occurrence. But a little odd for my neighbor who is not a morning person to have someone over at 8 on a Saturday. The stranger then opens the hood and looks at the engine. I'm pulling out my phone to call my boyfriend knowing my neighbor won't be up yet when I see him walking down our driveway towards the stranger. Here's the conversation: BF equals boyfriend, S equals entitle stranger. BF: Hey, do you know the guy who lives here and owns that truck? S: No. BF: Feel like explaining why you are going through his truck? S: I saw it and really like it. I am going to ask him to sell it to me. S then turns and starts walking to the neighbor's house. BF: You need to leave. He's not interested in selling it. A bit of advice: don't just stop and go through people's cars when you don't even know them. S stomps back to his truck and slams the door before driving off, clearly pissed. Seriously, who thinks it's okay for them to just stop and start going through someone's truck? If he's interested in it, maybe leave a note in the mailbox. ETA. Since a lot of people are commenting that he was looking for something to steal, I am adding some context. This was a Saturday morning around 8:15 on a bright sunny day. The S had to drive straight at me to get to the neighbor's house, and there is no way he didn't see me. Our houses are also the first houses in a neighborhood on a busy street, so the driveway is parallel to a busy street with houses across said busy street and no obstructed view of him doing this. The next door neighbor was also outside in clear view of what the man was doing. S did not try to sneak at all. When he said he didn't know our neighbor, he was completely nonchalant, like it was the most normal thing in the world. I'm not saying he wasn't trying to steal, I'm just saying that if he was the worst thief in history by looking in someone's car while other people were in his line of sight watching him in broad daylight. The next story is titled I Would Prefer Not To. So I'm at Barnes & Noble waiting for my girlfriend to get off work, and I'm sitting in the cafe reading Mary Poppins when a lady comes up to me asking if I could help her find books by P.L. Travers. I get why she asked me, but I've had a bad day and don't want to deal with people, so without even looking at her I just say, I would prefer not to, which annoys her. She starts going off about how she's going to get my manager and tell them I'm ruining products and refusing to help customers. So, I tell her it's my personal copy, also the cover doesn't match the newer editions, and ignore her. She continues to get prissy, and a manager comes by to see what's going on. She gives the whole spiel to the manager and demands he fire me, to which he gloriously replies, I would prefer not to. The woman huffed off quick after that, looking like we just shot her dog. Melville would be proud. The next story is titled No Longer Work There. I had worked security for a large West Coast, high-end, department store in the late 1970s. I started looking for another job when I realized the security manager was not very good at her job and also kept taking my ideas up to corporate security and taking the credit. I finally found my dream job during college, working for a private investigator. I stopped by the store to visit with some people I used to work with and do a little Christmas shopping. While I am there, I stop in to briefly talk with the security manager. She mentions that they have been having a real problem in the electronics section with a massive amount of stock disappearing regularly. The stockroom was new for electronics and had not been there when I worked there. She says they have changed the lock and limited the people who have access to the key. Just for kicks I go to electronics to look around. 5 minutes later I go back to get her. I tell her where to place a temporary camera to catch the thieves. In my 5 minutes, I find out that to create the stockroom, they put in a new wall and door, but only on the front. The back of the stockroom had been a passageway before the remodel, and they had just nailed plywood over the passageway and painted it to match the wall. The plywood was loose. The thieves had been stealing the stock through this easily recognizable security shortcoming. I am sure she took credit for solving the thefts. The next story is titled Helped More People Than the Employees. Sorry, no Karens involved. A couple months ago I went shopping at a local restaurant supply type store, kind of like a small Costco, Sam's Club. I was picking up some food for a work-related event and was wearing our Get Dirty uniform, which is green work jeans and a gray t-shirt with the company logo. This business does not have official uniforms, but employees wear a blue vest with a name tag. Pretty informal. I was looking at a couple of items when a lady called to me to ask if I could get something off of high shelf. I'm 6 feet 3 inches, so this is a common occurrence even when people know I'm not an employee, and I'm always happy to help when someone is polite. She was super nice and thanked me. I hadn't taken 2 steps when another customer called to me and asked if I could help her find some items. I wasn't in a hurry, and I'm familiar with the store, so I said, sure. As I went back to my shopping, an elderly lady near the meat case was watching me. She asked me where she could find some meat item, can't remember what it was. I helped her pick out a nice one, and she then proceeded to hand me her grocery list and asked if I could help her with the rest of her shopping. Of course I said yes, and 45 minutes later I helped her push her cart to the front to check out. It was when she looked at the cashier with the vest on, then back at me, that her eyes went wide with the realization I wasn't an employee. We had a good laugh about it, and I went back to start my shopping. Anyway, that's my happy story of spending an hour helping 3 other people, with all of them being nice, before getting to my own shopping. Gotta say, I had a smile on my face the rest of the day. The next story is titled Fellow Immigrant Mistakes a Nurse for a Supermarket Employee and Gets Really Confused. This isn't a mean Karen of Kevin story, sorry to disappoint. But I did find it a bit funny. Backstory. I live in New Zealand, but I'm from the USA, and I used to work in a few supermarkets here in NZ before I completed my training and started working in healthcare. I was leaving work a little late, and I ducked into the supermarket to pick up something on behalf of my mill. I was speaking with her on the phone to clarify her preference for the item when I noticed a young man with his friends patiently standing next to me, looking like he wanted to ask me something. I'd heard him speaking with his friends, and so I knew he was a tourist from either Canada or the USA. I assumed he heard my accent and was waiting to ask me about where to find something, or a Kiwi substitution for an American item. We immigrants gotta help each other. When I got off the phone, he politely asked me where he could find maraschino cherries, which I actually did know isn't carried by this or any local supermarket. So I advised, no, but there would probably be some other options available. He seemed confused by my answer, so I offered to help. I took him to another aisle and showed him the candied cherries. Nice guy. I just dunno if they'll work with the cocktails I have planned for tonight. Me. Oh, sure. That's a bit tricky, there's some preserved cherries over here, but for something like that, I really don't know. But we can ask the liquor section, the guys there might have something. I led him to the liquor section, noticing he looked more and more confused by the second. I was wondering why he looked so confused. He looked even more confused watching me interact with the liquor section manager that we happened upon. When I came back, and I let him know the only cherry options in this store were the ones I'd shown him, and that there was an international grocery nearby I could give him directions to, he looked very confused. And then it dawned on me. My nurse's uniform was black with lime green piping. Guess what the logo and uniform colors of this supermarket are? I laughed and said, because I don't work here. Gasp, really? Me. Yeah, I'm a nurse, pointing to the healthcare logo on my top. Oh, no way. OMG, I'm so sorry, why didn't you say so? Me. I didn't realize you thought I worked here, I just thought you heard my accent and figured I'd know where to find American stuff, and I always try to help. Jokingly, saving lives by day and cocktail parties by night, huh? Me. Laughing, at your service. We shook hands and wished each other well, and that's the end. Not a social justice story or anything, but I still think about it and it's been 5 years, hope you all enjoyed. The next story is titled Wrong Number. I was the manager of a computer store and the phone number was 1 digit different from the local Kohl distributor. We constantly got calls from people trying to reach Kohl. Many people realized their error when they heard the operator answer with our store's name. There were plenty of people who didn't listen carefully and would ask for customer service and would get transferred. Somehow a very angry plumber got transferred to the tech department. Being the gentleman they are, the tech department lampooned him for about 30 minutes. The guy got absolutely furious and demanded to speak with the Kohl manager. This is when my phone rings. After giving my name and asking how I could help, Mr. Irate Plumber unloaded on me for several minutes. I was confused at first, then I began to understand what had happened. It was hard not to laugh in his ear, but I was polite and let him vent his anger. Finally, he asks, "So are you going to tell me how to get this GD Pass Kohler to flush properly?" In a very kind voice, I assured him I would do whatever it would take to make it right. Then I asked him, "First things first, did you try holding down the power button to restart it?" In a soft and puzzled voice, he asked, "Do these new toilets have a power button?" To that, I replied, "How the hell would I know? This is a computer store." As he was slamming the phone down, all I could hear was, "Son of a idiot." To this day, I sometimes remember that call and wonder to myself, did he ever get that toilet to flush right? The next story is titled I Need a Translator. I'm a shift manager for a retail drugstore chain. We offer a variety of services. One is a wire transfer of money. So one night I have a customer, who we'll call Jane, who can only speak Spanish. She brought a friend along, but something happens where they get into an argument and the friend leaves. I barely know any Spanish. Took it in high school and failed. Jane is now irate that I can't help her. I get my phone and turn on Google Translate, but it doesn't work. Apparently Jane is illiterate. Just to clear the air. I hold no resentment against people who can't speak English in the US. Unless you know all the details about someone, you have no right to judge. Both my parents are Chinese immigrants and came to the US in their 30s barely speaking a word of English. Although they learned, they never truly mastered it. Quite often as a kid I had to translate or clear up what someone was saying. Jane starts yelling at every customer who passes asking if they speak Spanish. Most customers just run away, probably because of her attitude. Finally a customer, who we'll call John, gets flagged down and offers help. John asks Jane to please speak slowly and calm down. John tells me that he's a high school Spanish teacher. He teaches formal terms and Jane is using a lot of Colombian slang terms. John helps Jane finish her paperwork and translates as I'm walking her through the paying process. After Jane leaves I thank John profusely, telling him he's a lifesaver. John says, "No thank you. This was at the beginning of the COVID lockdowns." John explains that ever since the lockdown happened he hasn't had a chance to practice his Spanish, so this was a perfect opportunity. Anyone who speaks multiple languages knows that if you don't use it, you lose it. I give John a discount and a store gift card. John tells me that he gave Jane his number so he can help her learn English and hopes that she'll take his offer. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.